I'm here with Steffanie Nikitas. Steffanie, wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Steffanie, can you quickly explain who are you, what it is you do?
Yes, I'm a Director of Talent Acquisition with Ace Hardware Corporation. We're in the US primarily, but we also have stores around the world in 65 countries. So worldwide, roughly 5,800 hardware stores. We are independently owned and operated, all of our stores. So my focus is actually not on the retail side. It is to lead talent acquisition for our corporate field and subsidiaries.
Right, so basically, does it operate like a franchise where the individual...
So we don't use the F word.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Internationally, it's more like a typical franchise model. Domestically in the US, it's independent co-op. So it takes the franchise license, strips it of a lot of the restrictions from the owner and puts it back to the owner so that they have more say in what they do day to day.
How interesting. How do you, so you do the recruiting on the corporate side?
Yep.
Do you also support the co-ops or do they have to do everything themselves?
They pretty much do it all themselves as far as hiring, firing, day to day. So we can give them guidance and they benefit from a lot of things we have on the career side or what we do as a whole company. But other than that, the day to day is their own decisions and they handle it locally.
Yeah, fantastic. How does that impact your thinking from a kind of employer brand perspective? Is it difficult to kind of describe an employer brand when there's kind of this decentralization of control?
Surprisingly, that's the easy part because our slogan or our tagline is Ace to Helpful Place. And then we have the jingle that goes along with it. So our customers are our candidates and vice versa. So we take the consumer brand of this helpful, Ace to Helpful Place, and we actually translate it to the candidate experience as well. So helpful becomes kind of the pillar of the culture and the values around it.
Right.
So that when you go as a customer into the store, the question is, what can I help you find today? We translate that to the customer, to the candidate experience, to what can I help you find today as far as your next job, your next career, what you want to do.
That's great that there's alignment with the customer proposition and the candidate proposition as well. How does that manifest? So I guess on the website, let's say I'm looking for a job and I think, hey, this company looks interesting.
Yes.
How are you guys helping me find that thing?
I know it's an overused term in our industry right now as authenticity. We like to call it transparency, so that candidates exactly understand what is the day in the life of, what am I getting into, hardware is not necessarily the sexiest industry, right? So there's a lot of physical requirements, especially in the warehouses or in some of the skilled trade jobs that we have where, you might have to get sweaty and dirty because it's not an air conditioned environment, or you might have to be able to lift 50 kilos, on a regular basis or walk 20,000 steps in the warehouses. Or you're going to get sweaty when you're on customer sites that may not have air conditioning, or you might crawl around an attic, right, to fix something. So we're just being very transparent and really giving, not only in the advertisement, a true understanding of this is the job and this is what it's not, but then our recruiters do a good job to really then lay out realistic, this is what you're going to do day to day. Are you okay with this? This is the salary we're offering. This is the benefits you're going to get. So we put all the cards on the table so that the candidate can make an informed decision, because as much as we're interviewing them, they're interviewing us too.
Right. And the value of truth cannot be understated, simply because most people are mature, they understand and not everything is roses and rings.
Exactly.
There's trade-offs and everything.
Yep.
So it's almost like giving respect back to the candidate and not thinking that you have to just constantly sell, the dream.
Yep.
You also have to sell all of the tough stuff as well. This is how it works. It seems to me there's a lot of video potential with a lot of that type of hardware work. I was having a conversation earlier today about the difference between white collar work and blue collar work, so to say. White collar work kind of is a bit boring because you're sitting in front of a screen, typing in front of a keyboard, and that's just generally all white collar work. Whereas the frontline blue collar work, there's all kinds of things going on. You're in the environment, there's different types of things going on. It lends itself a lot, I think, to video capture. And you see a lot of the most famous day in the life of videos and the great TikToks are out there. It's frontline workers actually videoing their day. Have you kind of channeled that in how you're telling the story about your business? Is video a component to what you're doing?
There is. We could probably do a better job at it. Budget is always, kind of a big piece of it. But we have videos that we put on our career site of kind of that job preview. You talk about frontline. For us, the high volume recruitment is our warehouse workers, our CDL drivers. So we have videos to kind of follow some actual people in those jobs at the locations where they would work to give a little bit more behind the scenes of what the job is and talking about their experience and do it in a natural, honest and transparent way, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're not talking about the rainbow and butterflies. They're talking about like, this is a hard job. Here's what I actually do every day. And yes, it's great for me, but it might not be great for somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the beauty of it, because it really then caters to the people who are actually interested in taking that opportunity and that pay, but then also the career path that they could go into. You talked about white collar, right? We have a lot of people that go from, I started as a warehouse specialist, and maybe a year, 2, 3 years later, they're the warehouse manager.
Yeah, yeah.
They're still in that environment, but they're now in that ops side, which is kind of in between white collar and blue collar, right?
Yeah.
But they're able to take that experience from knowing how to do the job to now being able to coach other people to how to do it.
Yeah, and they'll have loads of institutional knowledge about how the thing works, so maybe they can be like super valuable employees throughout the organization.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Let's zoom out a little bit and think about career sites. If we could kind of think of a career site, let's imagine a career site as a dating profile.
Yeah.
What would give you like a red flag on a career site and you think, okay, I'm swiping away on that. That's not right.
Stock images.
Stock images, no go.
Too perfect. Like everything looks like Instagram moments.
Yeah, yeah. So you know that's not real.
Yes.
It's not even not real, but they're probably lying to you because it's not real.
Correct.
You have to move through. What is a green flag?
Again, it goes back to the authenticity. You're using real people. There's testimonials of people that are actually in those jobs. So you're really getting a picture and an idea of what it's like to work at this company.
Yeah.
The facilities, are they smiling? Are they being genuine, right? Like, is it staged versus in the moment? So that goes back to this overusage of authenticity that I call more transparency.
I do like transparency better, Steph.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Authenticity, it's in danger of becoming itself a branded term.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd hate to see internal meetings where you say, "Let's be authentic."
Yeah.
It's like just be honest,
Yes.
and be open, and then it is what it is, and that's basically what we need to show.
100%.
Final question for you, Steffanie. You bit of advice for people watching this. How should EB and TA leaders kind of prepare for 2026? What's the one bit of advice you would give to that audience?
I mean, right now, the big thing is AI, right? Like we keep hearing AI this, AI that. Like there's a lot of vendors here today that all say they have AI, but is it truly AI or is it automation? Those are two very different things. And I think as a TA leader, and I face this on a regular basis, you get phone calls and sales calls and messages, you get bombarded every day. And it's trying to weed through to understand, okay, what problem am I trying to solve for? And start there. What's the question that I'm trying to solve? And then find what is the technology, the vendor partner that you potentially want to go with. And then even then, how are they going to help me solve? And what's my ROI? Is it I'm saving time? Is it I'm cutting out something in the process and automating it truly? Or am I just hunting the shiny object just to say I have AI, right? So it's trying to really make an informed decision and be intentional about it. And then figuring out how to build that into your process to really complement and not just say, okay, we automated this, great. How does it affect the candidate?
Yeah.
Because they're really at the center of all of it, right? With all this automation and AI that everybody's using, it's not just about me. And then this whole conversation, AI is going to replace us all tomorrow. No, it's the person that knows AI that's going to take your job, not AI itself.
Yes.
So being able to embrace the technology as a leader in the space, and HR always gets a bad rep that we're behind the ball on a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are doing a good job to really get ahead of it now, to really be more strategic and intentional, to identify, back to what I said, what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, fantastic. Steffanie Nikitas, thank you so much for your time.
Of course, thanks for having me.